possible way. We're developing ourselves and doing that which is beneficial for ourselves and for others. If one gets that basic attitude right, this sort of basic understanding, the importance of establishing our heart in kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity, these qualities of the Brahmaviharas, then the attitude is right for developing the other aspects of the path, developing the mindfulness and the wisdom that helps us to clear up our own minds, sort out our own minds and let go of those ways of thinking, those attitudes, those views which cause us so much suffering. One thing leads on to the other. If we nourish our own mind in the right way, well, the results come. Unfortunately, the way of the world tends to go in the other way, isn't it? It's always about grabbing things, grasping at things, thinking the more I get, the happier I'll be. Whether it's material gain or different experiences of pleasure in this world. That's the way of the world, the way of what we say darkness, that leads on to more grasping, more attachment, more suffering. Suffering because we're never satisfied. If you're always following your craving, just trying to grasp at the things in this world, you'll never be satisfied, will you? Because you can never have enough, because we're living in this world, sharing it with now 7 billion people. You know, if land is the thing you want, well, you're never going to get enough land if you've got 7 billion people to share the world with. You're only going to get a little bit of it at most. Material wealth, all the money, the gold and the other fine things of this world, well, you're never going to get it all, are you? Because you've got to share it with others. So the way of the world is the way of craving and grasping, and if we haven't seen that, then we tend to just always be dissatisfied, discontent, wanting more, wanting to get more, get better, get ahead of others, get more than others. Ajahn Chah always encourages us to look back and say, well, the way of the world doesn't actually lead to peace and happiness, does it? It leads to more discontent, dissatisfaction with what we've got. Even if we've got a lot, it's never enough, we always want more. Whereas the way of Dhamma is going the opposite way, it's the way of enough. Learning to appreciate what we do have, appreciate this body and mind that we do have, appreciate the good experiences, the good people we know, the good things of this world that we do have and that we do come in contact with. That's the way of Dhamma, it's the way of having that sense of contentment. And it is enough. You know, it's a reflection, isn't it? Learning how to reflect on your mind to see what will bring it to peace. So just now we were practicing breathing meditation. This is practicing learning to experience a mind that is content. You know, it's content enough to just be with one breath in, one breath out. As an idea, it sounds very, very minimal, not very attractive to the way of the world, the way of worldly thinking. You know, you go to a cocktail party and tell your friends, I'm just practicing contentment with one breath in, one breath out. Well, probably they won't be very impressed. They'll want you to be telling them about, you know, your successes in business and work and, you know, your kids and which school they're going to and all the kind of normal successes that we talk about. But that's the way of the world, the way of craving, and you'll never find peace in that, unfortunately. Whereas just to learn to be content with one breath in, breath out, that's the way to enlightenment. So it's worth stopping and thinking about that. Why did Ajahn Chah and the Buddha teach this? Seems to be going in completely the opposite direction of worldly thinking, ordinary thinking. Ordinary thinking is say, I've got to get more, 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 more. But just look at that state of mind that is wanting more, more, more. It's not peaceful, is it? It's not content. Even when you come to do breathing meditation, sometimes we still bring that same attitude in. And so you're sitting there, breathe in, breathe out, and it's, you know, when am I going to get peaceful? When am I going to get some happiness, get samadhi? When am I going to get the Dhamma? Still we bring the same mind of craving and attachment in, the same mind that drives us crazy in our daily life with discontent and dissatisfaction. So again, we have to look at that. Stop and look and see what's happening to our own mind and start to settle down and let go of these things a little bit. Ajahn Chah said if you meditate and you're trying to find a peaceful mind or gain a peaceful mind in that way, through craving, he said it's like looking for a turtle with a moustache. You will never find it. You can't gain peace, as it were. You can't grasp at peace or sort of get peace in the same way you might, you say, oh, I want to make some money and go and buy something, or have something you really want. You want to buy a house or a car. It's not like that. The way peace arises in the mind is actually through letting go of all the grasping, all the desiring, all the discontent, all the worry, all that mental stress. You actually have to let go of it. See the suffering of it and let go. And then the mind starts to experience peace all by itself through understanding and actually experiencing peace or being at peace. And this is a very important point, because as long as Buddhism for us remains a kind of superficial practice, that something we just believe in, we believe in karma, we believe in the Buddha was a good person, and we're trying to practice or be good Buddhists, just on the level of belief is not enough to really experience a peaceful mind. We have to start to internalize it, take it in, and start to recognize the source of suffering for ourselves in our own mind, this mind of discontent. A discontent from trying to grasp at things, want things all the time, never satisfied with what we've got. Or the mind that's trying to push away things that we don't like, experiences that we don't like, people that we don't like, and so on. In short, it's these two experiences of attraction and aversion that unsettle the human mind, and it's only through observing and learning about this that will ever bring the mind to peace and the end of suffering. So over and over again, if you read Ajahn Chah's books, listen to his talks, this is what he's talking about, learning to let go of the mind that's always grasping at things, pushing things away that we don't like, grasping at things that we want. Learning to see that, see the suffering of that, and let go, and bring the mind to its natural place of peace in the middle. Place where it's content within itself. Place where it has a sense of enough. This is enough, good enough. That's something we have to experience through our own efforts. It's not something you can just believe in, or you can't buy that, you can't get it from another person. You have to actually find that through your own efforts. And this is why we encourage to develop the Buddhist path in practice in daily life, to develop the precepts, use them as a guideline, develop mindfulness, and learn to wisely reflect on our experience. And that's where you can really bring your mind to the sense of inner satisfaction that Luong Por Chah was talking about. Probably if you've meditated just a few times, you might start to understand what he's talking about. That's how I began my Dhamma practice. Having heard some Dhamma, I went away, joined a meditation group, and started to experience a little bit of the peaceful mind, the mind where it's letting go of all its confusion and grasping and just being more content within itself. And I could see, or every teaching Ajahn Chah gave, it comes out of this kind of inner awareness where you're just learning to be more in touch with your own body and mind as it is in the present moment. All the other Buddhist teachings come out of that, and you can understand from that. And you can understand that ultimately this world that we live in, it's very temporary, isn't it? Very impermanent. You can have as much happiness and pleasure that this world can give you, but it's all very temporary. You can travel, you can earn money, you can go here, go there, have the nicest food, the nicest place to live, and the nicest clothes, and everything that this world gives you, but all of it very temporary. And the real place where we can find true inner happiness is inwardly, through training this mind, developing it with mindfulness and wisdom. we have to come to the conclusion, we have to accept the fact we are getting older every day. None of us are getting younger. As we get older, this body is starting to wear out, gives us more aches and pains, more problems. The things of this world that we can experience, we'll also have to leave behind. As we leave this world, we can't take it with us. What can we take with us? It's the mind, the peaceful mind and the good karma we've developed through our practice. That's our ultimate refuge. That's the Buddha within us, or the Dhamma within us. The Buddha is not so much out there, the statue or the Buddha who lived 2,500 years ago. What the Buddha really said is the real Buddha is the Dhamma that arises in our own heart, where we see the true nature of this world. We see this world is very temporary, very impermanent. It's ultimately something we cannot own, we cannot take with us. Even our own body we can't take with us, we have to let go. When we can see that and accept that through contemplating, understanding the Dhamma, just as Ajahn Chah taught us, then the mind starts to become peaceful. That sense of peace, that's the Buddha arising within, that's the mind that sees the Buddha, sees the Dhamma. One who sees the Dhamma sees the Buddha. Ajahn Chah sometimes would say to people who were feeling sad that they didn't get born in the time of the Buddha, or they'd never been to India, and we're thinking somehow they're distant from the Buddha, he'd say, well, the Buddha can only be born in India, is that true? And really the Buddha can be born anywhere, because everybody in this world has the potential for awakening, for understanding Dhamma. So the Buddha can really be born anywhere where somebody is practicing the Dhamma sincerely and bringing their own mind in line with the truth, and the Buddha can arise there. In any country, could be Malaysia, Thailand, Europe, America, anywhere. Any time, any place where your mind comes in line with truth, in line with Dhamma, then it comes in line with the Buddha. And as you keep practicing and get more experienced and age a little bit, you'll realize that that's more important than anything else. When you die, you take the Dhamma in your own heart with you. That's your refuge, that's your spiritual wealth that will travel with you into your next life. It's what you brought with you in this life that brought you to this point where you have faith in the Buddha and Dhamma Sangha and you come to practice like this, and it will take you on in the next life to meet with the Buddhist teachings again. Everything else is very, very temporary and impermanent. No real refuge at all. So the more we can practice and bring our minds in line with the Dhamma, the more benefit we'll gain from that, the more we'll benefit other people as well. So today I don't have much time, so I'll probably give you just this much teaching for now. You've had teachings from many other monks, and there'll be more teachings to come. So I'll finish off just wishing you all success in your lives, in your Dhamma practice. Give you my anumodana, appreciation for the efforts that you've made in coming here today, to all those who organised the event, all of you for participating in this event, and I hope it may be a cause for your own enlightenment. As Ajahn Chah would say, Nibbanang Pachayo Hotu. May this be a cause for Nibbana, your own enlightenment, for you to experience the end of suffering. And may that come to true fruition, true realization. So I'll just say this much for now and wish you all success and happiness.
กราบขอโอกาสครับโยโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธสวากขาโตเยนะภะคะวะตาธัมโมสุปฏิปันโนยัสสะภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆธัมมัยยังภะคะวันตังสัทธัมมังสัสสังฆังอิเมหิสักขาเรหิยะถารังอาโรปิเตหิยะภิปุชยามะสาธุโนภันเตภะคะวะสุชิราปรินิพุตโตปิปัจฉิมาจันตานุกัมปมาสาอิเมสักการเรทุกขตาปันนาการภูเตปฏิกานาตุอัมหากังจิการตังหิตายาสุขายาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวะพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามิหันธเมยังพุทธัสสะภะคะวะโตภุปปากนมักการังกโรมาเสนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะหันธเมยังบุทธานุสตินยังกโรมเสตังโคปานาภะคะวันตังเอวังกัลยาโนกิตติสันโธอะปุงกโตอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจจาจารณสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิทูอนุตตโรปุริสธรรมสารติสัทธาเทวมนุษย์สานังพุทโธภะคะวะติหันธเมยังพุทธาภิกขิติงกโรมาเสพุทธวาระหันตวารตาภิกขุนาภิยุตโตสุตตาปิญญาณกรุณาหิสัมมากัตโตพุทเทสิโยสุจนะตังขมลังวาสุโรวันดามหังธรรมนังศิรสาจิเนตังพุทโธโยสัพพพานินังสารนังเขมมุตตมังปัตตมานุสติตานังวันดามิตังสิเรนะหังพุทธาสาหัสมิดาโส พุทโธเมสามิกิสโรพุทโธดุขาสังฆาตาจาริตาตาจาหิตาสเมพุทธัสสะนิยาเทมิสรีรังชีวิตังจิตังวันตันโตหังจริสามิพุทธัสเสวสุโพธิตังนัตถิเมสารนังอัญญังพุทโธเมสารนังวรังเอเตนะสัจจวาเจนะวาเทยังสัตตุสาสเนพุทธังเมวันธมาเนนะยังปุญญังปัสสุทังอิทังสัพเพปิอันตรายาเมมาเหสุงตัสสะเทจะสากายเนวาจายวาเจตสวาพุทเทกุกัมมังปะกตังมยายังพุทโธปฏิคันหตุอัจฉยันตังกาลันตะเรสังวริตุงวาพุทเทหันธมิยังธรรมานุสตินยังกโรมาเสสวาคาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมสันทิติโกอากาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโอปานาอิโกปัจจัตตังเวทิตาโพวินโยหิติหันธเมยังธรรมาวิคีติงกโรมาเสสวาคาทาทาดิกุณายโยกวาเสนาเสโยโยมากะปะกะปะริยาติวิโมกัมเบโตธัมโมกุโลกัมปันตันนาทันตันทาริทาริวันดามหังธรรมรังวรธรรมเมตังธัมโมโยสัพพปานินังสารนังเกมังมุตตมังทุติยานุสติตานังวันดามิตังสิเรนังธัมมาสาหัสมิดาโสธัมโมเมสามิกิสโรธัมโมดุขาสักขาตาจาริตาตาจาหิตาสเมธัมมาสังนิยาเทมิสรีรังชีวิตังจิตังวันนันโตหังจริสามิธัมมาเสวสุธรรมตังนัตถิเมสารนังอัญญังธัมโมเมสารนังวรังเอเตนะสัจจวาเจนะวาเทยังสัตตุสาสเนธัมมังเมวันธมาเนนะยังบุญยังปัสสุทังหิตาสัพเพปิอันตรายาเมมาเหสุมทัสสะเทจะสายาวจายวเจตสวานธัมเมกุกัมมังปะกตังมยายังธัมโมปฏิคันหตุอัจฉยันตังกาลันตะเรสังวริตุงวะธัมเมอันธเมยังสังฆานุสตินยังกโรมาเสสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอุจุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาณปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆ สามีชิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยาติดังจัตตาริปุริสยุคานิอัตถปุริสปุกลาเอสะภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆพาหุเนยโยปาหุเนยโยตักขิเนยโยอัญจลิกรณิโยอนุตตรังปุญญเขตังโลกัสสติอันธเมยังสังฆาวิกิติงกโรมาเสสัทธัมมโชสุปฏิปันติคุณาริยุโตโยตาปิโตอริยปุคลสังฆเสโชศีลาทิธรรมปวาราสยกายชิตโตวันดามหันตมาริยานคันนังสุสุตังสังโฆโยสัพพปานินังสารนังเกมมุตตมังตติยานุสติทานังวันดามิตัมสิเรนะหังสังฆาสหัสมิดาโสวะสังโฆเมสามิคิสโรสังโฆดุกาสกาตาจาวิตาตาจาหิตัสสเมสังฆาสหัมนิยาเทมิสาริรังชีวิตังจิตังวันตันโตหังจริสามิสังฆาโสปฏิปันนตังนัตถิเมสรณัมอัญญังสังโฆเมสรณัมวรังเอเตนะสัจจวาเจนะวาเทยัมสาธุสาสเนสังฆังเมวันธรรมาเนนะยัมบุญญังปัสสุธามิทาสัพเพปิยันตรายาเมมาเหสุงตัสสะเทระสากายโนวาจายวาเจตโสวาสังเคกุกปังปะกตังมยายังสังโฆปฏิกันหาตุวัจยันตังกาลันตะเรสังวาลิตุงวาสังเค
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนัมสามิ
Offer my respects to the assembly, the Venerable Bhikkhus and the lay disciples. Occasion coming together to commemorate Luong Por Chah and of course primarily Luong Por Chah's practice. And if we're really commemorating it and taking it seriously, it's the practice of Luong Por Chah that we want to keep going, celebrate it and keep it well rehearsed and well practiced. So it's very, personally for me, it's very heartening to be offered the occasion to come and spend time with so many other good bhikkhus. It feels very happy and very comfortable just to have that sense of people I haven't seen for years, getting together. And so it's a lovely feeling. And also just to notice the way that the event has been created and noticing the number of people participating. And something that just struck a note through the day is the way that everyone's called brother or sister, and the brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. And that touched something in me, the sense in which there's a very clear indication that we're all on the same level of cooperating, wherever we are in terms of our karma or our purification process or whatever. We're all brothers and sisters in terms of cooperating, working together. And I don't know how you've managed to create this occasion. I can't imagine the amount of organising that's been going on to get this thing happening. But I get some idea because I've done a few of them myself, and you all seem to have done it and looking happy and cheerful and not burnt out and worn out by it all. So this is a very good sign that it's practicing, cooperating in a way that's seen itself as a Dhamma practice. Whatever happens, that we've worked together to generate something that has brought everyone together. And I noticed that there are several different groups involved. And as a newcomer here, just looking around, I couldn't imagine. It's not clear who's in charge of it. It doesn't look like one person is in charge of it. It looks like everybody gets a chance to help out and participate. And this is a really good sign. It's a sense of people cooperating. It's a happy feeling. Particularly because cooperation is one of the things that is a clear indication of people's purity. People look for attainments and samadhi and so forth, and special realizations, but a really important realization, a really important standard of someone who has practiced purity is their ability to cooperate. And this is the standard for Luong Por Chah's monasteries, and the thing that he emphasized perhaps more than other teachers. And now we have something like 300 monasteries, over 300 monasteries, somehow trying to work together from the diversity from New Zealand up to Canada. That's the global span. And yet somehow monks from New Zealand and Canada and Thailand and everywhere get together here and feel we're just exactly in the same space. Now that, to me, is a profound realization that is not subject to egotism. It's not like I am so special, there's something so wonderful about me, but something so wonderful about the practice. And the practice is often the simple, apparently simple, deceptively simple process of learning to listen, have different opinions, different perspectives, and yet see that the most important thing is that we can work together. It's not who's going to be the best, the brightest, the most important, but what's the beautiful Dhamma. Now you consider that the human condition is like this, that not one single one of us could have got born on our own. We needed two people at least to even get conceived, and you need a whole team of people to get you born, and a whole group of people working 24 hours a day to get you clothed, fed, brought up, educated constantly. Throughout your life you have brothers, sisters, friends, employers. You're continually in contact with other people. You depend upon other people growing food, transport, so forth. There's nothing in your life on an ordinary level that you can do without other people. Yeah? Even when you die, you need other people to help you die, and then other people to bury you. And yet, what is the single most difficult thing for people to do? Is to cooperate, to get on with each other. And you see it happening everywhere. Politicians can't cooperate, you know. Religions can't cooperate, even monks can't cooperate, because everybody's stuck in their own me-mind position. And it really is a profound constant, not a moment flash in the pan special meditation experience, but a constant training to learn how to experience a sense of letting go of oneself into something that we respect, that is beautiful and has room for all of us to gather in, whether the youngest, the oldest, the most venerated, the most seemingly insignificant, all have a place here. Yeah. And noticing just during this short time how really, although we naturally were all venerating, at the moment we're venerating Luong Por Sucitto as the most senior monk, actually he's playing in some respects a very small part. And you know, it looks the senior, junior thing. A lot of this is the more junior monks are doing the organising, and they just tell the senior ones what to do, and we just happily go along with it and fit in. And that's a kind of, it's so easy like that when you trust each other. And cooperation, you know, when you have 300 monasteries, is quite a process. It's work. Because naturally, every single one of us can only see things through our own eyes as individuals. And every single one of us has different perceptions, different sensitivities, different ways of being affected by things, different energies, different ways in which we feel happy or unhappy, experience pleasure and pain. And somehow we have to recognize that, respect that, and yet find a way in which we can honor and respect, listen to others, and find a path of mutuality. Whenever this goes wrong, there's a big mess happens. You know, when somebody thinks they're doing it on their own, then mess. We lose the Dhamma. Comes another self-trip. Now, it seems to me that we can look at the quality of cooperation as being dependent, simply speaking, for around two themes. There may be more, but just for the sake of brevity, one is the sense of respect. Yeah. Respect, which is it's a very special term. It's not love, it's not affection, it's not who's better, it's just the sense of respecting, which means that we always keep our own minds, our own attitudes, our own perspectives just a little bit in check, because we realize there's something bigger, greater, more beautiful when my own position could be held in something larger. And there's something larger that one can respect. Yeah? So often that can be the teacher. When you have someone like Luong Por Chah, you can recognize this is a being who is deeper, wider, more fathomless than I am. I can respect that. The big challenge comes when the teacher passes away, and we have to somehow hold the teacher as a virtual reality. What would Luong Por Chah do in this situation? What would he recommend? What would he be pleased by? What would he be displeased by? Yeah. So the respect is towards the harmony of the Sangha, towards the good practice of the Dhamma, towards particular standards that we train in. And we're holding that up. Yeah. From the most senior to the most junior, we're all trying in that direction. And to see that you also are participating in this, like I notice you're all wearing these very simple clothes, white and black clothes. You couldn't tell who's wealthier, who's less wealthy, who's more important. It's just all, doesn't matter. You know. And so it's this sense of that the apparent appearances that the world makes so much of are to be put aside. There's something greater that we can offer ourselves to. Now the greater is really the path and the goal, the path and the fruits. For most of us are aspirants rather than accomplished ones. We have some accomplishments, but I think, speaking personally, I don't feel I have completely accomplished all that needs to be done. The number of completely arahants in the world is rather few. Most of us are aspirants. We aspire, we try, we work on it. And so that means that most of our practice is about path, simply in terms of sustaining the right kinds of effort, the efforts that are about restraining the defilements, the efforts that are about upholding the pure and the good, and not just as ideas but as practices. Restraining the defilements and upholding what's good. And mostly then this is about, brings us into contact with the quality of the whole training in restraint and relinquishment. And so this is what separates or is very much heightened in a good training monastery, which separates it perhaps from a meditation center. In the West particularly, meditation centers are very popular. People like to go there for 10-day retreats, 2-week retreats, even month retreats, 3-month retreat. And the big emphasis is how long can you get to sit? How long can you get to not have any responsibility to sit? How long can you, how intense can you get in your meditation? And sometimes people go crazy doing this. Or they don't go crazy, they come out of the retreat center and, okay, so one day you're in this quite pleasant, peaceful state, and then gradually your defilements keep coming back again. The pettiness, the jealousies, the desires and so forth. So, although meditation is, for many people, and perhaps for all of us, it's a highly respected aspect of the training, it is an aspect of the training that needs to sit within something much wider. And the wider field that the meditation sits in is our life, our daily life. Our life is based upon lifting up the good, sustaining the good, respecting the good, whether it's in ourselves or in others, honoring it, venerating it. Even if it's the good of other people, we can still feel that sense of mudita and uplift that comes with honoring. When you honor something, really truly honor it, you feel your heart lift. So this is a quality of right effort because it lifts up. It's called kusala supasampada. It's like fully accepting, lifting up that which is good. We lift it up. We recollect it every day. We remember it. We say this is not something that is impossible to achieve. It is possible. It's something to work towards. And the other feature is the putting away or the restraining what is defiling, or confusing, irrelevant, entangling. So in a monastery there is the honoring, the respecting, the puja, the chanting, respecting the training, respecting the elders, respecting the Dhamma, and there's the clearing away of the defilement. And clearing away is often less glamorous, less beautiful. It's work, gritty work, hard work, tough work sometimes. Restraining. And we need a lot of encouragement to do that. So when I first entered a monastery, then this was the most immediate thing, was the need to restrain. I realized I went to one meditation session when I was in Thailand. I happened into a meditation class. I went to one meditation session. I did 15 minutes of meditation. I thought, this is what I want to do. There's no way I can do this on my own. I don't have the restraint. I don't have the discipline. there's no way, I'm not going to do this unless I got something that really holds me down, ties me down, restricts me. I had enough wisdom to realize, what I was working with, so I better get to a monastery quick. So after one session, I asked the teacher, can I go to a monastery? It was that quick, it was that immediate. And he said, sure, you can go to a monastery, you can come to the monastery. Okay, so I go down there, and that's what I have to do. And they take me to see the abbot, and he says, well, you have to, what do you want? He said, what do you want? I said, I want to stop wanting. He said, good. I think there's a place for you here. And I thought, I don't care what I do. I have to stand on my head, whatever. I'll do whatever it takes to just stop this restless desire and craving in my life. Because up until then, I'd spent all my time just trying to satiate myself with desires. And I got to the point at 25 years old, and I felt completely burnt out. Like there was no more sense pleasure I could cram in that I hadn't had and done, and it still wasn't enough. And it was like a sponge. It was so full of water, it couldn't take any more water. What it really needed is just to be gently squeezed, just to press it all out. Need some more space. So that was it. I had that very clear realization, the need for restraint. Monastery, 8 precepts I started with. And the meditation first of all was I could get to sit still for 10 minutes. And I had never sat still for 10 minutes without fidgeting, without scratching something, scribbling something, eating something, looking at something, just to sit still for 10 minutes. When I thought I could sit still for 10 minutes, I thought this is a major achievement. And then it got so I could sit still for 10 minutes and then walk up and down, and eventually I got up to being able to sit still for an hour. I thought, I'm nearly there. Nibbana must be on its way. And I thought, well, I've done this within 3 weeks. 3 months ought to be enough to get Nibbana. I'm a bit slow, but 3 weeks ought to be enough. That was how deluded. But over time, as we began to see, the fidgeting of the body is one thing. You can stop that relatively easy. You can even restrain yourself from eating in the evening, sexuality, music. That takes some work, but still you can do it. But that's just the beginning. And developing restraint. And it's so helpful. I stayed there for 3 years in that monastery, just doing meditation all the time. But what really helped me change was coming into contact with Luong Por Sucitto, who I met seemingly by chance, and then learning to live with other bhikkhus, which I wasn't doing in this other place. It was just an isolated meditation center, sitting on your own. It was a monastery, but it had a meditation section in it that they put people in. So it was like it had one aspect of the path, but the rest of it wasn't there. So when I had learned to live with other bhikkhus, and this was Ajahn Sumedho, Ajahn Viradhammo, Ajahn Anando, it was just a few of us in London. And we had to cooperate, live together, and it was difficult. It was noisy, it was cramped, and it was not much space to move around. It wasn't gladdening. Then we moved to Chithurst House, which was a lot more space, but the place was a wreck. And it meant work, physical work, shoveling bricks, rubble, cement, and there's no heat. So it was so cold that the breath used to moisturize and condense on the walls, so the walls would have these rivers running down them, because the walls were so cold that the people's breath used to condense on the wall, and it would run down the wall and just shiver. We worked on that. Just as we were getting that tidied up, before that, I had to go to Harnham, which was even worse. There was no heat there either. And that was in the north of England. The snow used to come under the door. And we had no heat and one water tap with cold water in it. So, you know, restraint, it was actually, it was more or less forced on us. Yeah. And then we started Amaravati in 1984, and that was freezing cold too. I thought there was something about starting monasteries in England where you also started somewhere freezing cold. Amaravati, the first year they decided they couldn't afford to pay for the oil that used to heat these buildings, so they switched it off. And it was the coldest winter in Britain in decades, 17 degrees below. And it was 10 degrees below in the Vihara. So you're living in a room that's 10 degrees below, you put everything you got on your body, get into a sleeping bag at night. In the morning you unzip, you rush out, just because you know that over in the meditation hall